Thursday Lunch Club. Those of you who don't know me yet, because we're now being watched from around the globe, I'm Rabbi Ronnie Figdor from St Kilda Hebrew Congregation. We've been running a Thursday Lunch Club now for a few years, mostly face-to-face, but during coronavirus in 2020, we went on to Zoom. We've had a few face-to-face since, but today we're back on Zoom for a couple of reasons. One of them is because our Thursday Lunch Club coincides with with Ta'anit Esther, and of course we're not going to offer lunch during Ta'anit Esther, and also because I'm very honored to have a rabbi from Iran, and we can't be faced live, so we're going to do this via Zoom, and we've recorded this just shortly before the Thursday Lunch Club. I'm talking with Rabbi Avihai Rahimi. Welcome, Rabbi Rahimi. How are you?
Thank you very much. From Jerusalem, from Tehran to Jerusalem, but right now we're located in Jerusalem more than 42 years as Iranian Communities Coordinator. So really, it's my honor and pleasure going to be with your crowd and you especially. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's wonderful to have you. Where were you born?
I was born in 1961 in Iran, in Tehran. But as Israeli citizens, that we were, my parents were on mission over there. But my grandparents got to Israel, Eretz Israel, during the 1920, 100 years ago. Because they were before the Independence Day, 1948, 47, 48, they were back and forth as businessmen. And after the 1979, as Israeli citizen, I got back as an Israeli citizen to Israel and served in army, in IDF intelligence, and right now, as a research analyst and expert in enrichments on Iran-Israel, psycho war for national security and intercultural diplomacy, expertise analyst, besides as a rabbi in Jerusalem right now, and Iranian communities coordinator, and in contact with as well as with the Jewish communities in States and in Europe, also in Israel, and a great job to learn from each of these communities.
Now, can I just challenge you on something? Were you born in Iran or Persia?
No, the point is that that's the difference between the Persia. Wherever that they say Persia, it's a great Persia. Great Persia, it means that the empire that 2,500 years ago, even before 1,400 years ago, before that Islam conquered and Arabs conquered Iran. But Great Persia, when it said it's Cyrus Empire, it was part of the Afghanistan, part of the Pakistan, part of the Azerbaijan, Uzbekistan, and we say Tajikistan, part of the Syria, and Iraq was part, part of the great empire of Persia. But when you say Iran, it means that these 100 years, that it's so tiny, so little, but they have too much in common with the other communities. That's more, even that they are 45 millions right now in Iran under the Islamic Republic, but they have their own great civilization that they are, also besides Irano-judaica, or Persian, we have heritage 2,700 years ago. And don't forget that 2,500 years ago, 20% of great empire during the days of the Shushan, Purim, and the Esther Mordechai, We have 20% of the great empire of Iran, Persia, were Jews. So where they are right now?
That's what I'd like to know. How far back does your family go? How many generations back does your family go?
It's, whenever in Israel, they have from 1920, 5 generations. But because my parents were on diplomatic missions in Iran till 1979, so from that time, I'm in Israel and serving all these communities back and forth. For the recruiting student on the verified, we have more than 50 students that we're following up and supporting and giving these 70 communities all around the states, Iranian states, for mediation, divorcement, as well outsourcing whatever that the rabbis they cannot do that by their own, at outsourcing services, working with the students, and I can say, Rabbi Figdor, that's mostly mitalmidai yotor mikulam. I learned maybe I was 4 years ago. I had a BA, but because of my students asking too many questions besides Dayanut and Rabbanut, I became, have 4 masters and my PhD on the sanctions of Iran, and national security, public diplomacy, the same Middle East policy, international affairs, Jewish philosophy, and gonna give you a sociology, and so I'm gonna give you psychology, family therapist, and so I'm gonna give you more, to understand, first of all, the students, non-Jewish dating, whatever that we have in our communities in states, and whenever that you say whenever that you challenging, you say challenging, really these students and the teenagers and young couples, they were challenging us as rabbis. And that's why I have to expand it's not just Rabbanut and Dayanut. We have to expand whatever that and knowledge and wisdom to how going to overcome the challenges that they're facing, not only from the shul, far away, give them orders.
If I could return for a moment to your childhood. You were born in Iran.
Yes.
What could you describe a bit about the Jewish community of Iran in your early days?
It's